Welcome back to another episode of CHILIpulse, the space we created to get actionable insights on all things CHILI GraFx. And today we're going to talk about content and branding. And for that we have two guests with us today, because in a world where content is king, it is important to get that content out in a scalable way to be brand consistent and also very efficient. And to get that, we'll talk about with our two guests. We don't have one guest today, we have two guests. Welcome Deanna, welcome Wart. Deanna, you are SVP of DXP and AI at Acquia. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And Wart, you're our Chief Product Officer at CHILIpulse.
Indeed,
Welcome.
Great to be here.
Welcome both. I would say, Deanna, maybe introduce yourself. Who are you? What do you do at Acquia? What is your role? A bit of an introduction.
Yeah, certainly. So I've been in the MarTech space, having fun with software and marketers for the last 20 years. And right now I'm the SVP of DXP and AI at Acquia. And really I get to work across the whole DXP product portfolio. Yeah. And I seek to deliver value through great experiences using design and data maturity and all things innovation. And definitely a big focus on both content and now data.
Super. Well, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Wart?
Yeah, I'm Chief of Product. What does that mean? Well, I get to work with brilliant people and we try to disrupt the world of graphics production.
Yeah. And okay, super. Maybe before we start, because people that are watching are used to CHILIpulse, to CHILIpulse, maybe Deanna, if you can start with introducing what does it mean, DXP, and we'll talk about our DAM connector later. So where does DAM fit into the digital experience? Can you give us a bit of an oversight?
Yeah, most definitely. So DXP, the wonderful acronyms that we have, it has usually many different solutions within it, which includes DAM, Digital Asset Management. And then you can throw in CMS and CDP and many other possibilities there. But it's really about pulling together a composable digital experience for any need that you might have in an organization. So, what we're doing at Acquia is really allowing organizations to scale and to be agile and to build their own tech stack and then deliver the value to their customers.
Yeah, super. You talked about the DAM, Digital Asset Management System. That is known with me and maybe a lot of people to distribute assets. Can you maybe elaborate a little bit on how do these assets then, where do you use these assets from the DAM to create output?
Yeah, most definitely. So digital asset management, you can think about distributing assets, but more importantly, especially for creative teams, it's about managing all of these digital assets that are across an organization. So you can think about, some organizations having just folders and folders and drives full of assets. And when you need something for any given publication or anything that you're working on, piece of content, maybe you would have to email somebody in your creative team to say, hey, do you have that latest logo? And then they have to wait for them to come back. So with digital asset management, you can self-serve all of that, and you can make sure that you have all of the right versions and all of your brand-approved content ready and at the fingertips across your organization, externally to all of your different distributors and partners, and then definitely distribute it out across all of your downstream tools. So get it directly into your CMS, you can get it into your marketing automation, and in the fingertips of your creative designers and the tools that they use, like CHILIpulse.
Super. You talked about getting the last version of the logo. I think that's a big thing, not to have version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the folder, but actually having the last and the right version of the logo. Yeah, very important.
Yes.
And what do you see opportunities here? Because indeed, where we use a smart template to create output like point of sales material, stuff like that, where do you see the opportunity to link to an asset management system?
Well, there's what we do is we scale graphics production, and there's basically 3 ways to do that. One way is to let a designer use a tool, but have that tool being connected to the single sources of truth for assets in general. That could be images, but also data coming from a BIM system, CDP, whatnot. Then there's scaling through in exposing smart templates to users within the organization to make it possible for them to produce assets when they need it without going through a designer. Also there, having that connectivity means that they're working with the approved files, with the right files, and making sure that they only get access to what they're supposed to get access to. And then the third way is we go completely headless, but also there you want to connect to those single sources of truth, being your DAM system, PIM system, whatnot, wherever we have data within our company.
Yeah. Today at the event, we're launching our Acquia DAM Connector for CHILI GraFx so that we can make that connection between both systems. Maybe it would be good to have an overview of who are the people, who are the roles, the people involved in that process. So Deanna, I would say, if you could start, who is the person getting assets in there, who is managing that? So who are the people involved in that process?
Yes, usually it really depends on exactly what type of content you're creating, how many people are involved. But it usually starts with some sort of brand guidelines. Hopefully you're starting with your brand styles and your brand guidelines, and you can get those in your DAM as well. And then you'll have somebody who initiates a campaign. So that might be your marketing director. They're going to initiate a campaign and they're going to tell you who your audience is. Your creative team will then look at that and decide what sort of design they want to put towards that. They'll create their design and their content. Then it usually goes through a workflow of review and approval. And one of the things that DAM prevents by having the source of truth is that you're using the latest file. So hopefully they're not coming back around and sending it back to say, go get the newest logo. And then when it's approved, it goes into your DAM system so that it can be used by everyone at all different touch points. And finally, hopefully it's integrated all of your downstream channels so it can automatically go out across those.
What I learned just before we started recording, you talked about atomic assets. These are the assets, the pictures, the logos that are stored in the system, in the DAM system. But we're also talking about created assets like point of sales, ads, e-commerce material that is also then stored back into the asset management system.
Yeah, most definitely. And those atomic assets, when you think about it, it's kind of like that smallest atom of content that you need, and then you can repurpose that, which is extremely powerful when you get into personalized experiences or one-to-one digital experience so that you can quickly and automatically possibly grab an image for that specific user and then the actual metadata or rich description for that user on the fly and deliver that experience to them right in the moment that they're accessing it.
I talked about metadata. I think that's a great bridge because the metadata helps to enrich the assets, which is very valuable for us. Because if we then make the step to automation, what for you is the next step? Where do we take it from having an asset management system to get it into our system in an automated way? You talked a little bit about it just before.
Well, there's different aspects to it. I mean, an asset is always enriched with certain metadata. It could be a SKU number, it could be a brand, whatever data structure we put in the system. It's also linked in a way to potentially product information management system, either through article number, SKU number, whatever. So for us, there's a big opportunity in getting all the information in one go from the different systems, pull it into a template automatically, and then produce graphics, which not only show the right image, but also show the right product information, the right campaign information potentially, the right prices potentially. All of that could be connected.
So that people have the template ready to show the information for that campaign and only show pictures or assets that are validated.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have to worry anymore about it being correct because it's pulling all of that from the different systems.
Yeah, I think the other key point of the integration into a DAM is making sure that you're pulling the right variation of the file that you need of that image. So, making sure for your print materials that you're going to have in CHILIpulse that you're using the highest res possible. But then if you're doing a social media ad, you're going to use, the low res or the version that is necessary for that. And with this integration that we have with CHILIpulse, you're just using the right one automatically. You don't even, your designers don't even need to think.
You don't need to worry about it. The system will handle it for you.
Exactly.
Take away the headaches. We're talking about our connector, but you talked about also connecting to our other system. Maybe Deanna, could you zoom back out and what are the types of connections you also have with Acquia DAM today next to what we do?
Yeah, so we have over 60 out-of-the-box connectors and always adding more. And it's in usually various areas of, basically how can we make sure that everyone who needs to use digital assets can stay in their preferred tool. So for designers, keeping them in CHILIpulse, or if they're in the Creative Suite, or if they're in Canva, being able to quickly get at your digital assets for there. And then also all of your downstream channels is really important too, to be able to go out to your CMS, your e-commerce, and your marketing automation, and quickly access those files from there. And then upstream channels as well for some of that metadata. So getting into your MDM or your PLM systems or ERP in some cases, and pulling that in to enrich your metadata so that you can get that out in your smart templates, as we're doing here.
And then all that metadata can then be reused in smart templates to make it even smarter. To make that bridge, let's talk about the connector. We've built a connector so both systems can talk to each other. What can you maybe make it very actionable? Where do we start? How do you set it up in the big picture?
To maybe make it very actionable, I suggest that I simply show
just show in action. That's a good idea.
So what I have in front of me here is a smart template. It's a design. That design is intelligent. It's been connected to data sources, one of the data sources being the DAM system. So what it also has in here is predefined sizes for different channels. So we have, from this one design, we can go to static banner ads. We can go to point of sales material for stores. We can go to in-store digital channels. All of that is embedded into this one template. So as you can see, when we swap through the different sizes that have been predefined, the template adapts, it's responsive, but it's also connected to the DAM system. So for example, if we would say we are going to change to a different product, and let's select a different product here, it's not just going to pull out the asset for that product, but it's also immediately applying all the product information. It's applying the right logos. It is updating the QR codes or the barcodes, because we could also do things like shelf tags or price labels even from the same template. So that template is intelligent. It has all the rules embedded. It's respecting the brand guidelines, but it also has the business logic in there. And so it's responsive. It is also respecting the rights that have been defined on the DAM system. It is pulling in all the metadata linked to the different products and applying them on the fly. And this means we can now go either completely headless. This connector works without any human interaction, or we present this same template to an end user who could be a marketeer in the field, who needs to produce a new poster for the store. And let them access this, and then they can say, okay, I want something for a specific channel. I want, instead of, for example, here we have smartphones and tablets, they can pick, but it could also be, I want something for a specific shelf. And we only show them the products they are requesting, and then all they can do is, for example, change marketing messages if we would allow that, or change the price, or select a different promo type, and they get that asset in a matter of minutes on the fly without having to go through a designer. And then the last, I already mentioned that we don't need human interaction. We could also just generate thousands of assets, an entire campaign just from a data set.
Yeah, and you mentioned rights and permissions, and I think that's a key thing to remember, especially as you have a digital asset management system. You get to govern all of your content and your assets in there. So make sure that your teams can only use the content and the assets that you have rights to, or that should be used in those areas. So copyright is obviously a big concern of most organizations, and by using a digital asset management system and hooking up like you're talking about, you're giving yourself a peace of mind that only the content that you have rights to use in that specific template and in that specific graphic are coming back, so you don't have to worry about that.
Exactly. So maybe to get back to what I just shown, I'm actually now logged into the DAM system. So the assets I get to see are actually assets I'm allowed to see. If you would log in, potentially you would see a completely different collection of assets. So here it's really an integration that respects all the rights that have been configured in the DAM, and there's no way we can go around that.
And then once you create all of these new graphics, you put them back into DAM, then they can be repurposed and be reused, which is kind of the wonderful part of the cycle, right? You just create more content and you put it in there so they can be made use of. And that's what we like to think of as COPE, create once and publish everywhere.
Yeah. So people working with this system, they get access to the atomic assets, as we just called them. And then what comes out of it is a finished marketing asset that can either be used in the physical world, in store, or on the online world.
Yes.
Any other use case you think about is like you called it the self-service. It's people, field marketeers that can do it on the fly. There's the other scenarios where this could be handy.
Use cases, I would stick to the top level, the three ones I just mentioned. Either it's a designer that needs to produce a large batch of assets, or it's someone in the field that needs to get to something on the fly. They just maybe they forgot to ship a certain poster. Well, we can enable those people to generate that on the fly, or we generate thousands of assets without human interaction.
Yeah.
I think for localization is also a great use case. So for your regional field teams to be able to grab your smart templates and then to, use those same image and that data and make sure it's translated in the proper language, and you can get that out there. So I think that's an amazing use
that
case
is indeed what a system like this enables.
Yeah. You talked about connectors or integrations with Acquia. I think for CHILI GraFx, that's also the case. This is one of the connectors that we built. Maybe can you talk a little bit about the connector framework, because it's not one connector that we built now, but we have the connector framework ready.
Yeah, we have a connector framework. In what we released right now is a framework that supports media connectors. The Acquia connector we're looking at now is the first media connector. These connectors are open source, so we invite everyone to build connectors. And when we ship it, and today we will introduce the first ones, but everyone can build their own connectors. Soon after that, we will go to also data connectors. Which will work in a similar manner, but then will be used more to connect straight into the PIM system, to the CDP system, wherever your data resides.
Yeah, the connection into a PIM system is going to be extremely useful when creating product catalogs and quickly grabbing all of your, the 360 view of your product with the price point and the enriched metadata and populating that for either print or all of your downstream needs.
But today, the big difference maybe is today that's already possible. That's what we do. We've been doing that for the past 10 years actually, or even longer. But it's all API driven, so you still need a developer to set it up. With the connector framework, what we're trying to go for is to have that out of the box available. So you just say, okay, I have Acquia DAM, okay, I configure that connector, I have the PIM system, I configure that for the PIM system, and without the need of a developer, the designer can set up a smart template. So that's the goal of this new connector framework.
And then you can also do that into CDP eventually, and you can pull in your one-to-one customer data and have a graphic that is now personalized per that person and that user.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Which would be great for loyalty campaigns also.
Exactly.
So it's not just online, but also offline. There's opportunities there. So yes, that's exactly what we're building.
Good.
Before we close off, you also have AI in your title. And I know for a fact that Wart also has like a side project, a personal side project with burgers, which is also a fun thing to talk about. But talking about AI, where do we have AI in Acquia DAM today, and what's like the vision, and where does it have an impact on the use of a DAM system?
Yeah, well, AI has been around for many years, and in Acquia DAM, it's been around. I think I've been finding ways to leverage it since probably like 2010, so for the past 14 years. And what I really see is just the use of data and how we can now use data. We say content's king, data's king at the end of the day, right? If we can take the data now and to actually generate more content and have confidence in that content that's being generated, that's a game changer. I think the biggest concern that we have heard, though, from our customers and anybody out there is making sure that the content that's being generated is actually that you have copyrights to, and that it is something that you feel confident in making it your own. And so I was really excited to talk to you and hear about how your AI is coming along and making sure that it's restricted or constrained to just the content that's within DAM.
Yeah, it's indeed one of the things we want to address. So If you look at AI in CHILI GraFx, we put all of that under the umbrella of GraFx Genie. GraFx Genie is an assistant that allows, that actually helps designers create more templates to do that smarter, to do that faster. But it also helps automating manual tasks like resizing visuals, resizing graphics, resizing designs, generating content. And it also enables you to talk to a designer even via prompt. So say, for example, I want to replace the background image to something that contains a beach. I want you to suggest new messaging, and it would apply that. But it will always respect whatever we have embedded or the rules we have embedded into our smart templates. And that's why we actually stop talking about templates and we start introducing the word composition model, because it is a model with business logic, with constraints that our AI model has to respect when it generates these new visuals.
Yeah. And I love the fact that it's a composition model that we can constrain it, because then you think about the data that we have in DAM and being able to leverage any of that metadata to go along with that business logic. And back to your original question, what type of AI do we have in DAM? A lot of it right now is around visual tagging of assets and making sure that it's findable, and then also automatically generating product description, keywords, and video transcriptions, detecting color, anything that we can do with visual images and video is we're doing it in Acquia DAM.
So that a person doesn't have to go through thousands of images to do it manually.
Yes,
That will help a lot.
You know, our customers have millions and millions of assets in their DAM, and so the idea of being able to efficiently take those, like that's just foolish to think that humans are going to spend that much time data entry. So if we can, you know, harness AI to take that properly so that others can then find it and make use of it at the right time and in the right location, that's going to mean that all of the investment you put into that content will go even further, because it can be repurposed and reused. It's not just a one and done anymore.
Otherwise, it's in vain what people done to categorize them. You can now enrich them.
Yes. Yep. And then generate more content and more graphics, and then you put that into your DAM and the cycle just continues, and you know, now you're going from, you know, millions of assets probably to billions of assets, and that is the world we live in.
And have them very personalized in automation. Use that metadata that is generated to create great campaigns.
Yep.
Yeah,
Sounds like a perfect match.
Yes.
well, we've seen, and I think thank you both for the insights today. I would say, and we said on the way here, for me, this integration is like so obvious and so simple in the end, because it's like a perfect match. And you know me, I don't say that very easily, but it's like, it just works.
Peanut butter and jelly, it goes together. Is that what we have peanut butter and jelly in the UK?
I know peanut butter. But it's like that. It's like a very good match. And in the end, the result is so obvious. It's like, of course, it works like this. So I think that's, I would say, people, if you want to see it, first of all, here, come to the booth, and people listening to the podcast, I would say reach out to us. We'll be happy to show a demo. I think we show the power of and the simplicity of both systems combining together, and that's what it's all about, to give actionable insights to people. So thanks again for both being guests on the podcast, and we'll looking forward to a great future.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. You can reach out through pulse@chilipublish.com, or you can also pick up the phone and give us a call, because we're still human. Thank you so much, and see you in the next episode. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yeah.